This is the historical one. Yay! When Henry VIII of England was injured in a jousting accident, it's reported that he was unconscious for a couple hours. Afterwards, those around him reported that he had a noticeable personality change. What was the source of this personality change? Brain damage or walk-in, perhaps? Anything about the Tudor family? Okay, let's go with Henry VIII first. Now, before I answer, I saw a psychic talk about this, and she said he was diabetic, and he hurt his leg, and it was infected, and like he was diabetic, and there was no cure for it or whatever, and that's what he ended up dying of. But let's see what they say about that. Yeah, she attributed the personality change to that. Okay, so let's look. Personality change, brain damage, or walk-in. See if any of those. I feel he's so mad that he got injured in this jousting thing or whatever that is that they're doing. However he got injured, I don't, who knows. He was so angry, and he gets down off his horse, and like something happened to his blood pressure, and he just dropped. He's like so angry, and he gets down and just. And I see at least there's one main doctor and maybe another doctor he's consulting with or something. And Henry's like passed out in this bed, and the main doctor's like, it's not going to heal. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. There's nothing that can be done. And he's looking at the other doctor, and they're like, if we tell him this, we're in big trouble. He's going to take it out on us. We're going to lose our jobs and our business, our reputations. So they lie, and they just say, oh, it'll be fine. Just, place the bandage. All right, so I'm not feeling any head injury. I do feel a lot of confusion and anger in his mind. There's just so much. There's so much he's sort of responsible for thinking about and making decisions on. And he's in crappy health. I'm checking for a walk-in. I don't see a walk-in. I do see, beings around him trying to support him. He doesn't know, like nobody knows that they're there, but I can tell there are beings there trying to help him and give him sort of inspirations to follow, and his mind is too cluttered to hear it. And now he already was feeling limited, which sounds funny because he's like the king. But now that his legs hurt, he's worse. He feels more bad about himself, and he's just cranky, and he wants to be that young, handsome person that everybody just throwing themselves at. And he's aware that he's not that anymore. And this leg thing, this injury has just amplified it and just made him feel worse. And he's not dealing with that. He's just trying to control more. And when you control more, you don't have any control. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And if there's any other noise, it's my kids. Because they forget when I tell them I'm going to record. Anyway, so that's what I'm getting. I'm not getting walk-in. I'm not getting a head injury. I'm not sure if he's diabetic or not. I just can tell he's in really... It's like his arteries are... Like, if you could check his cholesterol, it'd be awful. Like his arteries are clogged. His heart's having a hard time. Like, I feel like he gets out of breath easily when he tries to do anything. And now his legs all... He could be diabetic because it kind of looks like, you know, the diabetic infections or whatever. Ugh. It looks bad. I can't imagine that feels good. I don't know if they gave him something for the pain or... Anyway, all right, enough on that. Did Elizabeth I die a virgin as reported, or did she have a romantic relationship with Robert Dudley? And then we'll check and see if any of them have reincarnated. Okay, Elizabeth I. I think she actually might have died a virgin. I'm not seeing anybody. I feel like she and Robert Dudley had some kind of relationship, but I feel like she's too afraid to commit to that kind of relationship because she doesn't want to be controlled by men. She's like anti-controlled by men. She has to stay strong. Well, she has a belief that she has to stay strong, and if she gives into that, she's seen other women who sort of just give up themselves, and they're sort of controlled by the men that they love, and she just would not. She was too afraid of it. Even though she trusted him, she didn't know what would happen if they had that kind of relationship. Would he try to manipulate her for personal gain? Like, would it change him? I feel like she just felt so separate. She had to keep herself separate from everybody. She couldn't get involved because that would make her weak. And she had to be strong to do her job. She feels very alone. And maybe a little bit angry about it. any of the Tudors reincarnated? Do you, okay, so we'll just check for modern politics. I feel like Henry's like he's a politician, but a minor politician somewhere, and he's here to learn humility. So he's never going to be able to rise in the ranks on purpose. Like he designed it that way. And it's going to be frustrating for him. So whoever he's like, I can see him today. He's a male, white male with reddish hair. I feel like he may be American. I feel like maybe he was in the Democratic debates. I can't remember who all it was, but I feel like he set this life up so he couldn't achieve what he hoped for, so he could learn to be humble and serving, not others focused, not self-focused. Let's look for Queen Elizabeth. I don't see her ruling or being political anywhere. I see her in Victorian times as choosing to be born into a family that was very nurturing and very adoring, and so that she could just be taken care of and not have any responsibilities and just know what that felt like, because she needed the opposite of what she had as Elizabeth I, which was isolation and constant vigilance and constant strength, and like she couldn't depend on anybody. She had to stay strong, and so she wanted to, she doesn't have to, but she wanted to balance that with where she could be dependent on others. She could learn what that felt like and enjoy that experience. I don't remember enough of the other people to look for them, but that was fun. I love historic stuff. Okay. What's something that is part of the beautiful new changes on Earth and the ways of humans that we can look forward to? Cooperation. It looks like in the future we've purged the need to feel like we have to prove ourselves to each other. There's no need to be right, there's no need to feel right or to prove your point or to prove your idea is the most valid, because everybody will listen, try other things. There's no power, there's no feeling of I need to be in power. There's no power over others in the future. It's very cooperative. There's no I'm looking around to see what there is. It's all nature and just people and nature. And right now I'm just seeing a few guys just talking to each other and just like patting each other on the shoulder, and they're all nodding and agreeing, and okay, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm not seeing televisions or Rolex watches, or I'm not seeing any of these icons of wealth or a desire to look better than anybody else or different from anybody else. Like, it feels like it's more about the joy of living, the joy of enjoying your life, the joy of experiencing like the breeze on the beach and the sounds of the wind and the leaves and the bird calls and the sound the water makes, and just being present and just really enjoying earth and the feeling of the air in your lungs and the feeling of your heart beating and what it feels like when your hair brushes against your skin, and just enjoying the camaraderie between people and enjoying seeing the things that you all create together. It's all very positive polarity. I feel like before we got to that point, we tried to incorporate the stuff from the old world, like the computers and the television shows, and we tried to integrate that and like to keep the things we liked, but we realized it was just nostalgia, really, for the way it used to be, because we remembered it and hey, that was fun. And it's just not as fun when you don't have negative polarity anymore, like not a strong negative polarity, like not a self-replicating power over others. I mean, you still could get a thunderstorm and have lightning strike and catch things on fire, but there's no wars, or there's like people just enjoying solving, problems, like how to build. It's all like sustainability and being in the present moment and enjoying each other's company and really enjoying being human on Earth. Like, this is something that we enjoy it, but it's like a passing idea that I'm like, oh, that was fun. And I really enjoyed hanging out with my family. And but then we're back to, okay, what kind of bills do I have to pay, and what's my bank balance, and do I have the right clothes for this meeting I'm going to, and do I need to buy this or that so that I'll fit in? And there's not any of that anymore. It's just blissful, really. Just what everybody dreams of, like, go live on the beach. Only it's not hard to do things, because it's not hard to find people who want to do the same thing as you, to let's try building this thing that will divert water in this cool way. And like, you use technology in a different way. You use it to create I'm not saying that we have like super duper powers or anything. This is like the step before telepathy where it seems like we're practicing not having that power over others. And I feel like certain areas get to this point faster than other areas. And the other areas are still like trying to do the technology thing, and they don't have power over others, but they just haven't let go of that yet. So, there are still cities, but they're in transition. I could go on and on exploring that whole thing. But we're at 50 minutes already. Okay. I've heard a lot about young kids, early elementary and preschool age, and how they are already in the 5D frequency. My 4-year-old says she sees sparkles in the air around her. Is this an example of that 5D experience? It depends on whether they're stifled or not, just like all of us. I mean, we all came in with the 5D purpose or expectation, but yeah, a lot of them are pretty stubborn about it. They will argue and fight with you if you're doing something to oppress their knowledge of the way things should be, and they will resist. I'm trying to see if they throw tantrums. I know my kids are a little older than that. My youngest is 10. My oldest is 14. They all resist the stupid things that we do, like the way school doesn't support creativity, and it's still like routine, and school can't help it. I mean, they've got all these kids and they have to keep them organized and can't have them running amok. We haven't shifted over. It's slowly shifting, but it's really slow. But these younger kids are just, I mean, my kids came in with the 5D, and yours too. They're going to continue to resist until this changeover. Some of them are telepathic. I know my my daughter did some things when she was, well, all of my kids did things when they were really young that I was like, clearly telepathic, that they don't really do anymore because they're all indoctrinated into school and social customs and behaviors. It's kind of sad, but anyway, yeah, I think everybody's coming in with that. And if we keep, allow them to stay open to that, things will change. Are the towers in Texas that look like Tesla towers or really Tesla towers? Well, the first thing I got was that Tesla never finished. He never completed it. And then here he is. He's come in me see what he has to say. No. He says, no, they're not. They're fake. He's kind of angry about it. He's angry because we're not. He says we've had plenty of time to figure out free energy, I guess. Or, how he envisioned it, and we're not doing it. And we're perfectly capable of it, and we have the technology, and there's still a power over others sort of money making, this is the way it needs to be, mentality. So they won't, they want to, the big companies want to stay afloat and make money. And there are a lot of people depending on them to make money because there's a lot of people that work for the big companies. So they just haven't done it. They know how to do it. They're just not doing it. When are they going to do it? When is somebody going to do it? It looks like somebody's going to have to do it very small scale and very hush hush and not say anything about it until you've powered your little small town that way. And everybody keeps quiet about it for a year and there's no adverse effects. But even if they come out and say, we've had this for a year, it works, there's free energy for the whole town, and nobody's got cancer and nobody's had any ill effects. Even when they do that, like if they did it now, the companies who would lose money will propagate stories, fake stories about negative effects that it had, so that people won't want to do it. That sucks. All right. As each entity ascends up in density, who becomes the new first density entity starting at 1.0? So I was thinking, okay, so like if rocks are 1.0, what happens when everybody moves up? And they said rocks were never 1.0. We just saw them. From our 3D perspective, rocks are 1.0, but from 5D perspective, they're not. They have energy. Well, it's like they have qualities that we can't understand from our perspective, but once we move up, then we can see they weren't really, the 1D from our perspective looks a certain way, but once we move up, our perspective about that changes. So it seems like they're saying once we move up, we'll realize that nothing is really 1D. Everything is a quality of creation. It's like everything's one. There aren't any levels. We just think there are levels because we're here in the 3D and that's how we have to experience things. Once we move to a certain level, we realize there aren't levels. It's just our way of explaining things from this perspective. I hope that makes sense. Okay, last one. How do you know when you can distance yourself from drama but without putting a lid on your emotions and feelings, which may need to be processed. So you want to stay above it and stay positive, but at the same time, you don't want to, seem or feel like cold and distant and separate from other people who are expressing emotions. So how do you strike a balance? By being present, and it's like you're using your telepathy a little bit. And telepathy is not just exchange of words, it's exchange of emotion. You feel the emotion that the other person's feeling. So you feel it with them, but you don't absorb it into yourself. So you can understand it without becoming it. So you can feel empathy and say, "Oh, I see how you feel," and I can see why that makes you feel sad or whatever. But not take that in and feel sad yourself. If that makes sense, that's what I'm getting. So, like for me, I can spend so much time like up here, out in space with all the ideas and the future ways and like possibilities and all that. But then going back to what I was talking about earlier, of just being very present and very aware that you're here and you're experiencing these things, and just being very present is sometimes a challenge. It's a lot of times a challenge for me. So I feel like they're saying, like, really being in your body and being present and really being sort of more grounded and connecting at the same time, connecting to them, the other person or the other people, and really feel what they're feeling without, like, you can feel it without having it impact you, if that makes it's kind of hard to explain. It's like watching a really sad movie. You can feel sad for the characters, but it's not, it has nothing to do with you. It's not even real, right? So you don't take that character's sadness into yourself. So it's kind of like that. That's the best way I could think to explain it, is, just being present. Like I said, using your telepathy to feel what they're feeling, to empathize with them, but not take it on yourself. And not necessarily trying to fix anything or explain anything, just being present with them. That reminds me of that artist that had that exhibit or whatever at some big museum where there was like a line of people and she just sat there and she just looked at you and she was just present. Like, you got to spend a certain amount of time just being present. Like, and people would just sit down and just start crying because I guess there's so much hustle and bustle and so many things to think of that we don't ever just sit and look at the other person and just be present with them and just like, I see you, I'm here, and I see you, and I'm being present. So anyway, hope that made sense. And that is it. And I will break this into parts and get it uploaded as soon as I can. And yeah, we'll do this all again next month. So hope you guys are doing all right. And I will see you again soon. Much love. Bye.